Exodus chapter 21. These are the norms you are to set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he will serve you for 6 years, and in the 7th year he shall go free, without you having to pay him anything. If he came alone, he will leave alone. If he was married, his wife will leave with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children belong to his master. He will leave alone. But if the slave says, I love my wife, my master, and my children, I do not want to be freed, his master shall bring him to the judges. He shall also take him to the door or the doorpost. Then his master will pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him for life. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she is not to go free as men slaves do. If she does not please the master who intended her for himself, he shall let another redeem her. He is not to sell her to foreigners, because he has broken faith with her. If he intends her for his son, he will deal with her according to the rights of daughters. If he takes another wife for himself, he will not diminish the food, clothing, or marital rights of the first one. If he fails her in respect of these 3 rights, she is to go free without any payment of money. The man who strikes another and so causes his death shall be put to death. If he did not want to kill him, but as it were, God lets it happen, then I will give you a place where he may find refuge. Instead, if a man willfully attacks another to kill him treacherously, you will take him away even from my altar and put him to death. Whoever strikes his father or mother shall be put to death. Anyone who kidnaps another and either sells him or is found holding him captive shall be put to death. He who curses his father or mother shall be put to death. When 2 people quarrel and one strikes another with a stone or with his fist, so that he does not die but is confined to bed, and after that he gets up and walks about with the help of a stick, the one who struck the blow will not be held as a criminal. He will, however, pay the injured for loss of time and see that he is completely healed. When someone strikes a slave, male or female, with a rod, and the slave dies at his hands, he shall be punished. But if the slave survives for a day or 2, he will not be penalized, since the slave is his property. If people are fighting and a pregnant woman is hit, so that there is a miscarriage, but she is not injured, the one who hurt her will pay the fine demanded by her husband and sanctioned by the court. But if there is serious injury, you are to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stroke for stroke. When a man strikes the eye of his slave, male or female, and the eye is lost, he will let the slave go free in compensation for the eye. If he knocks out a tooth, he will likewise give the slave his freedom in compensation for his tooth. When an ox gores a man or woman to death, the ox will be stoned and its flesh will not be eaten, but the owner of the ox will not be punished. If the ox had gored someone in the past, and its owner had been warned, but had not kept it fenced in, and if later it kills a man or a woman, the ox will be stoned, and its owner also must be put to death. If the owner, however, is allowed to pay a fine to save his life, he must pay all that is demanded. If the ox gores a boy or a girl, the same norm applies. If the ox gores a man or a woman slave, the owner of the slave shall be paid 30 shekels of silver, and the ox will be stoned. When a man leaves a pit uncovered, or when he digs a pit and leaves it open, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit will make compensation to the owner of the animal by paying him money, but he may keep the dead animal. When a man's ox injures the ox of his neighbor and it dies, they will sell the live ox and share both the money and the meat of the dead animal equally. Or if it is known that the ox has been in the habit of goring and its owner has not kept it fenced in, he must make good the loss by giving his neighbor a live ox, but the dead ox will be his. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and either slaughters or sells it, he must pay 5 oxen for the ox, 4 sheep for the sheep.